this past Wednesday, we went to Milwaukee for Dynamite. Decided it was a good idea to drive to Milwaukee, and we bought these way before, just before CM Punk. Like, it was during the rumors, because I remember it was like, well, if we're gonna go to, um, the whole Labor Day weekend shows, we might as well go the week before, and then I think I don't remember. Anyway, we went to Milwaukee, and it was quite interesting. This is my first time, other than like WrestleMania, going to like see wrestling in another state, so that was interesting. But I mean, Tommy, I mean, you literally just answered the phone and you said it was one of the worst dynamites you've ever seen. So, I mean, we're 2 for 2 on not great Dynamites. Last one being the Thanksgiving edition of Dynamite from 2019. That was in Hoffman Estates in the Sears Center. And then there's this one that everybody is apparently bashing. Um, I mean, when I think about it, I just remember, because like, here's the thing, okay? CM Punk was on this show, so it's definitely a lot better than a Raw or a SmackDown or any WWE show that I could possibly watch, in my opinion. So right off the bat, that's that. But like, I remember when Dynamite ended, and then when like Rampage ended, and I just felt that Rampage was a better show than Dynamite.
Yeah, I mean, certainly wrestling wise. I mean, I know like the whole it's taped and it's airing Friday, so don't talk about it. But the one of the matches on Rampage, which I guess it's announced, it was the tag match, was like one of the best matches I've ever seen live. And I mean, obviously the first one being Kenny and Hangman against the Young Bucks, but this match was awesome. And really, they could have just had that on Rampage, and it would have been better than Dynamite. Because, like you said, right when I picked up the call, I made the realization that holy smokes, that show was not good. It was bad.
I mean, looking at these like matches, it's just like the one thing I do remember is like obviously Jericho coming out, because like whenever Jericho comes out, like even though Jericho's Jericho for me, it's like whatever his theme, everyone sings his theme, and it's a cool moment, and like that was one of the things I remember. And then I remember them setting up chairs right in front of us, and us being like, all right, like who's gonna come sit and watch like the match, and all of a sudden freaking Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt just like walk up to us. It's like, all right, I guess we're just gonna sit next to them. That was really cool, because like I feel like when you see other companies do the wrestler at the ringside seat or whatever, like it's just like a very planned out thing. But like, I mean, Marco Stunt was just talking to us about like like whatever, and interacting with us, and I thought that was pretty cool. And the same with like Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. So I don't know. That's one of the things that I'll remember. Um, and obviously Punk. I mean, his Dynamite debut, and when we look back at the record books of AEW in years to come from now, this is going to be like Rampage was his debut, his big return to wrestling debut in AEW, and then today will be, or like this show would have been his first Dynamite. So it's got like that importance to it for that aspect.
Yeah, I think obviously, they could have put on literally the worst show that has ever existed in wrestling, and as long as they had CM Punk on it, I wouldn't like totally hate it.
Exactly.
Because obviously, I guess Punk really, maybe it was in his post-show promo, but in one of his promos he mentioned, eventually the new Punk like honeymoon phase, I guess you could say, will wear off, which of course we all booed and said no, it wouldn't. But like realistically, it will. It's like at some point it's just going to be, hey, CM Punk's wrestling, instead of, oh my God, CM Punk's wrestling again. And down the road, maybe even if Punk's on the show doing a promo or whatever he's doing, that it would, like, I would say, oh, this is the worst show I've ever seen. But I mean, him being on there right now, like I said, we're still in that period where it's like, oh my God, it's a special attraction. He's back after 7 years. So it was just, like you said, I would say there were moments in the show where I was like, oh, this is awesome. Obviously, Jericho's entrance, Punk's entrance, just the whole Punk promo. And we'll get to the details of the Punk promo, I'm sure, with the big tease. There were a couple moments there, but with the exception of those moments, it was not great.
I mean, I think it's because I just waited for him to come back for so long, and at one point I just didn't think he was gonna come back. So now that he's doing like promos and his entrances and all this stuff, like for me, it's never gonna wear off, just because like I've 7 years worth of Punk promos that I missed. You know what I mean? I feel like after All Out, it'll start to get back to normal. But then again, I think about it, and he has only appeared in the Chicagoland area. I mean, he was in United Center for the first show, and then he was in Milwaukee for this show. And Milwaukee is like, I put it in this like little area. You know what I mean? It's the same. Like I remember Justin Roberts said, who's from Milwaukee, and a lot of people cheered. And then he said, who's from another state, and then like a lot more people cheered. So
yeah,
we're going next week, and like the next 3 shows are going to all be in Hoffman Estates, the Now Arena, whatever. So it will be different fans, but it'll still be that Chicago like atmosphere. So I think like when they go to Cincinnati after All Out, and then every week when they go to a new city, all these people are like going to be excited to cheer on CM Punk. So it's going to be like I feel like it's going to go on for a while. And I don't see it ending anytime soon. I think you will have the people where it's like, all right, like we get it, like it's over and done with. Like I don't care, just have them in a match, or just do whatever you're gonna do with them. But I think that all these new towns that they're going to are gonna want to see CM Punk as well as Dynamite if it's the first time that they're going to that. So I don't know if that's gonna wear off anytime soon, to be honest with you, especially not this week. But you did mention his little tease in his promo, and so apparently I didn't know this until like yesterday, because I don't know why I didn't know about this like between Friday and now, but he just wrote on his shoes. He had some initials on his shoes. What did you say? Like Friday? What was on Friday?
So Friday was AC on his left foot, and I forget what was on his right
I think it
foot,
was CF.
if there was anything. Okay.
So, because yesterday was BD and BW.
Yeah.
So, for those who want to play along at home, CF, Charlotte Flair, I'm assuming, AC, Adam Cole, BD, Bryan Danielson, BW, Bray Wyatt. I think Punk even like posted on his like Snapchat or his Instagram story, like, him handshaking Daniel Bryan, and that infamous picture from like Ring of Honor or whatever indie show that was years and years and years ago. And then, I mean, during his little promo with Tony Schiavone, he kind of like, everyone started chanting yes, and he said, you gotta wait a little bit longer. And everybody freaked out. And I mean, I know that like we were kind of talking about him showing up in New York for that big stadium show, but honestly, if I'm being selfish here, I think, whether it be Adam Cole or Bryan Danielson, you gotta do it sooner rather than later, because that show's on like the 25th of September. So what better day to do it than All Out? Maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
So I have gotten to thinking about this because our good buddy Sean Ross Sapp, who started this whole madness when he dropped that pipe bomb, if you will, of a report, a month ago or whatever, that Punk was in talks to come back. He hasn't come out and said like that he's reporting it or anything. So I'm still kind of, wishy-washy. I'm not sure which way to go with it. but he's hinted very, very hard on Twitter that Daniel, man, I keep trying to call him Daniel Bryanson for whatever reason. Bryan Danielson may be pushed up to All Out. He's made references to like we're all out of time to wait for Bryan Danielson. I don't have any deep dish scoops for you, like stuff like that, just referencing Chicago and All Out. So it'll be interesting to see if he comes out a report on that or not. But I've started to think that maybe they do Bryan Danielson at All Out, because maybe there's a certain AC that might be free for the New York show. Now, I think it would, I guess not probably, it would definitely get a bigger reaction in New York if it was Bryan Danielson than Adam Cole. But like, let's say Bryan Danielson does debut at All Out, it's not like New York's not going to pop for Adam Cole. If that is indeed what ends up happening, this is kind of my fantasy booking at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But if that is what ends up happening, you know, it'll still be a crazy moment in New York when Adam Cole shows up. So I don't know. I'm honestly starting to think that it's a pretty strong possibility, especially once SRS started playing into it last night.
I think, like, I like the idea that, okay, so you had Punk at the United Center. Punk's first match back is going to be at All Out. You overlap, you give me Bryan Danielson at All Out. And then his next match back is at that New York Stadium show for Dynamite. You overlap again, you give me Adam Cole debut on that show. And then his next match back would be on whatever show. And then on that show, you get Adam Cole's first match, and you get whoever, Bray Wyatt, like, you know, whoever down, like, you know, whatever list of person would be next. Obviously, you could space it out. You don't have to do Adam Cole right now. You don't have to do, you know, I think they could do Bryan Danielson now, just because I feel like that's, you know, the next pay-per-view is in, like, what, November, I think.
Yeah,
or October, right, something like that, in St. Louis. So, you know, St. Louis. So, I mean, I don't know. I selfishly, I'd like to see Adam Cole or Bryan Danielson at All Out, because I think that would be awesome. That crowd would be going crazy. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's like the first traveling crowd for a show since. I mean, obviously WrestleMania is one, but I don't think for AEW, like, that many people went to Jacksonville for Double or Nothing. But I guess we'll have to see. Before we move off the subject of Dynamite, you have like a Stardom wrestler that had their first match on Dynamite you want to talk about?
Well, not first match. I'm pretty sure she had a match when she was originally in AEW before the pandemic, but first match back since she came back. So those who know me or follow me on Twitter or anything know that I've been super hard into Stardom the last like couple months. And when Jamie Hayter came back, it was like, oh shit. Because obviously, you know, she had her stint in Stardom and there's that connection there. And so I was hyped up for this match, me and probably 5 other people in the arena. And it started out great because it's like, oh man, you know, Jamie Hayter's right there and like this is happening and we're sitting there front row. I'm all excited. And it wasn't great at all. In fact, you know, I don't like want to bury Red Velvet, but you know, to no fault of Jamie Hayter's, as biased as that probably sounds, maybe the worst botch I've ever seen in my life. That didn't like result in an injury or anything, just a straight move that looked really bad. It was I don't know how it came off on TV, but I think it was a standing moonsault. Yeah, it was a standing moonsault, and Velvet landed, I don't know, like 2 feet behind Jamie, and like time froze for a second because they didn't know what to do. It was like, do I sell? Do I not sell? What's going on here? So Jamie kind of like popped up and started clubbing her with like forearms or whatever. But after that spot, it just went downhill because there was no confidence, it seemed like, and it was just botch, botch, botch. I thought Hayter looked pretty damn good. I mean, she looks great. She's completely changed her look. Not that she didn't look good before. That kind of sounded bad, but it's a whole like new look for her, and it suits her really well. And I love that she's with Britt. She can kind of be the muscle of that group. But yeah, I mean, the one good thing I will say about this match is I think, legitimately the only person, maybe me and one other person, going nuts in this match. Like, let's go, Jamie, stuff like that. And I did get a little bit of acknowledgement after the match. I was like clapping, and I was like, good match, Jamie. And she like looked at me and smiled and gave a thumbs up. I was like, hell yeah. But yeah, it wasn't one to remember for a good reason.
So at some point in Dynamite, they like I said earlier, they set up the chairs, and like Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy came out, and they sat at ringside. And after the show ended, they started to tape Rampage. I believe Tony Khan said it was the first time that they're going to tape Rampage. Obviously, last week was live in Chicago. The week before was live in Pittsburgh. So this is like their first like tape like for Rampage. So if you don't want to like hear spoilers or anything, then I'll see you in the next one. But basically, just to run through this quick, the Bunny versus Ty Conti, that was a match that happened. Christian Cage and Frankie Kazarian versus Kenny Omega and Brandon Cutler. I mean, that match is like, okay. Then when you get to Brandon Cutler, you know what you're getting into. So that was just a goofy match. And then, honestly, the match that, everybody needs to watch Rampage for is the Lucha Bros versus Jurassic Express. Winner faces the Young Bucks in the steel cage at All Out for the tag titles. I mean, I didn't expect this match to be as good as it was. It was literally incredible. Like, it was such a fun match. I don't know how it's going to come off on TV, but this was an awesome match, and it's going to be crazy to see like people's reaction to this match, honestly, because I'm hyping it up so much that it only has room for failure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, like you said, how it comes off on TV, because I mean, me, you, and literally everyone else in that arena was going absolutely nuts for this match. And honestly, like, the crowd was good, but I didn't think it was a very great crowd, especially considering it was the first time in Wisconsin. I didn't think the crowd was great at all last night, but during that match, we were all absolutely going nuts, out of our seats. Like, I think there was one or two spots in the match where like it looked a little bit clunky, it looked a little bit weird, but I mean, you're going to get that when you have, especially a team like the Lucha Bros, who they're really, really good, but they're also really, really good to the point where they try really crazy stuff. And sometimes it just like you make a mistake and it looks weird, but it's not catastrophic. I think they had one or two of those, but literally everything else was like, holy smokes, what a match. And I have seen, on Twitter, on Reddit, and a couple of podcasts I've listened to today, like everyone's ranting and raving about this match. So, hopefully rewatching it Friday is as good as it was live, because it was, like I said earlier, one of the best matches I've seen live.
There was times in that match, because obviously I wanted like Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus to win, just because I thought that for sure they were going to win the tag titles at All Out. But there was a point when I forgot who was pinning Luchasaurus, and you got that feeling that it was like, okay, like this is it. And he kicked out at the last second, and I literally jumped up because I was like, I was not expecting that at all. So that was awesome, and like that match got a good reaction. The other good reaction, just to throw this in there, was Tony Khan came out right before the taping, and he had the title in his hands, and obviously we're in Milwaukee, and he was like going on about champions, like you guys just want to champion the Bucks, and like it's funny enough, our tag champions are the Bucks. And then somewhere or another, he started talking about MVP, and he was like, "So who better than the MVP of the NBA?" And everybody was like freaking out, like, "Oh, are you serious? Are you serious?" And then he like he made that face where he's like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm serious." And then the next thing you know, Giannis Antetokounmpo comes out, and this arena blew up. Like, I didn't expect it, so I was marking out just because like that was just a crazy thing to have happen. But these people loved their Giannis, and then he literally ran to the ring, did like he held the title up, and like he walked to the jumped on top of the corners and everything, and then for a good like 35 to 45 minutes, they just sat at ringside and watched the show. So in my head, I'm thinking, man, like Giannis is a pretty big name. Maybe he posts about it or something, or people see him on Friday and like, hey, Giannis is watching this AEW stuff. I gotta watch this AEW stuff. I remember wrestling when I was a kid or whatever. So, I mean, add this to the list of hopefully pop culture things that make AEW big in the future. You know what I mean? Crazy moment.
Yeah, yeah, it was. I think, like, if I remember correctly, it was probably a bigger reaction than Punk even got when he came out. These people were going nuts. I mean, I get it. You know, you're in Milwaukee. For those who don't know, the arena that Dynamite was at last night is literally like less than a 1 minute walk from where the Bucks play. It's just separated by like, I don't know, a field of concrete. It's a really weird setup, but the point is it's like 2 seconds away. So, you know, these people are going crazy for Giannis, of course. I do want to say, though, I don't know, this probably won't be released video wise, but there was a moment where my heart went in my stomach because Giannis is going to get out of the ring, right? And, you know, he's trying to get out of the ring, doing the between the ropes and get the pop from the crowd and then drop down. And like something happened where I don't know if his other foot got caught like on the apron or something. Something weird happened where he came down, and when I say every single person in the arena like gasped at the same time, it it looked like it was about to be like a torn ACL or some really bad leg or knee injury because the way he came down was not natural at all. But
Nope.
then he just got a pop from the crowd and was like, you know, we're all good. And he just walked away. So it was good. But there was a good couple seconds where I was like, oh my God, we just witnessed, you know, Giannis tore his ACL and this is going to be on Sports Center and everyone's going to be replying like, why the hell is he jumping in and out of a wrestling ring anyway? Which is probably a decent point, but that was almost very bad.
Hmm. Yeah, that was. I remember that vividly. That was one of those scary moments, but that was Milwaukee. I mean, it was quite the experience, especially to see Punk, because then Punk came out at the end of all the tapings. After everything was over, Punk came back out and cut a promo with Christian and Kazarian, and the summer Punk tour rolls on to Wednesday with Dynamite back in its rightful home of Sears Center, aka the Now Arena, aka Hoffman Estates, and I mean, got some good stuff. It's going to be interesting because this is going to be the go home Dynamite show, but at the same time you have Rampage on Friday, and it's not at the point yet where AEW has like it's like Dynamite's Raw and SmackDown is Rampage. You know what I mean? Like it's still the same stuff going across each show. So like I was thinking, oh, it's the go home Dynamite. Obviously the show's going to end with like Punk cutting a promo and then Darby Allin like coming out and like catching him off guard and like hitting him with like the skateboard or something. But you have Rampage as well, and like you know what I mean. So I don't know what they're gonna do necessarily with that, but I'm interested to see what they do. If anything, I have faith in them to do something good. But obviously, like it's just like one of those weird things.
Yeah, I think because it's in Chicago, you got to heavily feature Punk. Obviously, you can't oversaturate him to the point where you're not building anything for the other matches. But those reactions you'll get in Chicago, and I'm sure a lot of these people that are coming in for the All Out week and weekend are going to be like, you'll obviously have the people that were at Rampage for his debut. but you're going to have a lot of people who weren't at Rampage, so they haven't seen Punk yet. And a lot of them are going to be from the Chicago area. So it's going to be hot crowds, unlike Milwaukee.
And very Milwaukee.
Yeah, I think you got to feature Punk heavily. I do think he'll close the show. I would say probably Wednesday, just because obviously the number for last week was crazy because of Punk on Rampage, but you're going to get the most viewers on Dynamite as compared to Rampage. So I think you close out Dynamite with Punk, and then he can stay out there for the, send everyone home happy promo and say, "Oh, Darby Allin, I can't wait to face you in front of my home in Chicago, get the cheap pop, send the fans happy." But yeah, it's an interesting build to the pay-per-view overall, but it's the CM Punk show. So you got to have him there. And I do want to say a couple things, real quick about Dynamite that we kind of glossed over. Malachi Black is just awesome. We harp time and time again about Vince this, Vince that. I don't know how anyone in the world could not see that this dude is a star. His entrance was awesome. His striking is awesome. His finish is awesome. Literally everything about him is great. And it was awesome to see him live, because the strikes look just as good as they do on TV. And that was super impressive after seeing, I don't know, at that point, it was probably 3 hours of not as good strikes. But yeah, Alistair, Malachi, Tommy End, whatever you call him, he's great. And it was awesome to see him live. And then another thing that I popped for, this was actually before Dynamite when they were taping, I think it was Elevation, me and probably one other person in the world, Lulu Pencil came out and cornered Emi Sakura for her match. And I think probably no one in the arena knew what was going on, but I was sitting there like, Mike, she's right there. So, that's something to look forward to if that's your kind of thing. But yeah, like Mike said, it was an interesting experience. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever done. I don't regret it at all, especially, getting another high five from Punk and all that. But yeah, it wasn't the best show ever. I still had fun, and it's not anything that's going to kill the company or is going to kill anyone's interest in All Out. So, no harm, no foul. I guess they just can't do it again anytime soon.
I'm going to end on this. This is not really breaking news, but confirmed breaking news coming from the owner as well as CM Punk. All the shows during Labor Day weekend at the Now Arena are going to have the CM Punk ice cream bars. So I don't know how many they're going to have. I don't know, what it's going to be like, if it's going to be exactly the same thing. All I know is they're going to have the Punk ice cream bars, because he joked about it last night. He said, I gave them away for free at the first show, but now you're going to have to pay for them. So, hey, if you want a CM Punk ice cream bar and you weren't at Rampage last week, you will get your chance to get an ice cream bar at one of these shows. I would get it sooner rather than later. If you're going to one of if you're going to Dynamite, get it there if you really want it. If you're going to Rampage, get it there. I mean, All Out is going to be the biggest free-for-all of all time. And so shout out to the ice cream bars, because those are going to be a big hit this weekend. And that's it. I don't have anything else to say. Tom, you got anything else to say?
Go watch that tag match. It was unbelievable. That's all.
Everybody watch that tag match. I'm using one of my must watches for wrestling. One of my 7 must watches for the year of wrestling on that tag match. So that's it. We'll talk to you in the next one.